I'm Nabila Jamal. Our top story that we are tracking this evening, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is all set to unveil Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose's hologram at the India Gate on his 125th birth anniversary. Prime Minister Modi will be physically present for this launch of the hologram. The hologram will remain until the time Netaji's granite statue is erected. Prime Minister Modi earlier announced that a grand statue of the iconic freedom fighter will be installed at the India Gate as a tribute to him. The 28 feet long statue will be made of granite. The statue will be 6 feet wide, will stand at the spot of UK's King George V. In fact, earlier Prime Minister Narendra Modi paid tributes to Netaji in the Central Hall of the Parliament House today on his birth anniversary. He took to Twitter saying that every Indian is proud of his monumental contribution to India. Well, this is the hologram. Most likely until the statue is erected, we're going to see this hologram, which is itself one of a kind. Maybe the first that you would see in India, a statue being erected, a hologram statue that will be projected until the real statue comes in place. Let me cut across to Shreya Chatterjee, joining us live from Vijay Chowk, Delhi. Shreya, over to you. This is going to be one-of-a-kind experience for Indians at large. It's going to be a hologram statue of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, which will stand right below the canopy at India Gate. And this is going to be unveiled by Prime Minister Modi himself in a little while from now.
Well, absolutely so, Nabila. You know, if we could just take our viewers to what the minutes of the program will be. At 6:02 is when the Prime Minister will be arriving here at the India Gate, and at 6:05 we believe that he will be unveiling the hologram of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, and at 6:25 p.m. it's the PM's address. A little bit detail about this hologram statue that will be placed at that very canopy that we see on our screens. It will be 28 feet long and 6 feet wide. It is going to be projected by a 4K projector of 30,000 lumens, and this will stay till the granite statue comes in place. A little bit of trivia: this is the same canopy where there was a statue of King George V and it was removed in 1968. This is the same canopy where Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose's statue will now be placed, and before the granite statue comes in place, the hologram that today the Prime Minister will be unveiling at 6:05 will be seen from here. This is a one-of-a-kind event that the country will be seeing today.
Shreya, we're super excited to see this because this is going to be one of a kind, a hologram of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, which never has been seen in India in the past. This is the first. Prime Minister Narendra Modi all set to unveil it on the day of Netaji's 125th birth anniversary. Paulami Saha as well, reporting live from Delhi. Sandeep Unithan giving us a perspective on that too. Paulami, over to you. After all that politics over Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose's being part of the Republic Day celebration, etc., on the tableau not being included, here is Prime Minister Modi all set to unveil the hologram of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, the statue that he's promised to erect at the India Gate. This is monumental.
That's right. In a short, absolutely. This is quite a historic event which is taking place at the India Gate. In a short while from now, the Prime Minister will be there. He will, in fact, be unveiling the hologram statue of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose at India Gate, which will eventually be, of course, replaced by an actual statue made of granite, which will be 36 feet in height and 6 feet wide, and that has been promised as well. This, of course, on the occasion of the 125th birth anniversary of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. We will, of course, see Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose and his contribution towards the Indian freedom struggle also being showcased at the Republic Day parade this time, when the CPWD tableau comes across. That is the tableau that will, of course, showcase the struggles that various freedom fighters went through in order to contribute towards the nation's struggle to gain independence. And that is, again, another occasion when we will be paying tribute to Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. In fact, from today onwards, the government has decided from this year onwards that from January 23rd is when the Republic Day celebrations will in fact kickstart across the country, and it will conclude on January 30th. Earlier, it used to start on January 24th. So from January 23rd, which the government last year decided to commemorate as Parakram Divas in honor of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, this year onwards is when the Republic Day celebrations from today onwards have kick-started across the nation on the occasion of the 125th birth anniversary of Netaji
stay with us.
Subhash.
I'm going to put you on hold there. I'm going to quickly cut across to Subrata Ghosh. We have Netaji's grandson joining us live with us. Mr. Subrata, such a momentous day for India. We're going to see a massive hologram image that's going to be projected right at the place where Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose's statue will be erected at the India Gate. This is the first, unprecedented. How does that make you feel?
Well, I think it's important to have Netaji's statue at a prominent place in New Delhi. So I welcome that move. But I would also like to add that the best monument to Netaji is to adorn and enlarge his legacy of equality and unity. He was the leader of our freedom struggle who united Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs and Christians in his Azad Hind Fauj by giving equal rights and equal respect to all. That is something that we must remember today. He had also brought together all of India's linguistic groups, saw men and women equally. He had a women's regiment, the Rani of Jhansi regiment.
Right.
I think it's very important to remember his ideals, not just worship him in statues of gold or granite or hologram, but actually imbibe his real deep ideals, which are as relevant in India today as they were during the freedom struggle.
Mr. Sugata Bose, this is, of course, what India is known for, to be diverse, to be so culturally entwined, mixed and thriving so beautifully. Do you believe that we're not following the principles of Netaji? Why do you want to reinforce it at this point?
I do want to reinforce it at this point because, unfortunately, we are hearing hate speeches from certain platforms, particularly against minorities and also Dalits. And this would have really upset Netaji because among his closest followers were people belonging to all religious communities. My father, Shishir Kumar Bose, drove him on his escape from Calcutta to Gomo, but the man who received him in Peshawar was Mian Akbar Shah. When Netaji came from Europe to Asia on a 90-day submarine voyage, his only Indian companion was Abid Hassan. The commander of the 1st Division of the INA, which fought in Imphal, was Muhammad Zaman Kiani, and the man who raised the tricolour at Moirang near Imphal was Shaukat Malik. His only companion on his last airplane journey was Habibur Rahman. And we all know that at the Red Fort, the British had put on trial a Hindu, a Muslim and a Sikh, Prem Kumar Sahgal, Shahnawaz Khan and Gurbaksh Singh Dhillon. And the man who built the INA Memorial in Singapore with its motto of Ittefaq, Etmad and Qurbani was a Christian officer, Cyril John Stracey. So you can see from the names that I've given you how he brought together everyone, gave everyone equal rights, equal respect. And I think that we are backsliding from that commitment today, which is why I want to reinforce this point on Netaji's 125th birth anniversary.
Right. Mr. Bose, do you believe that that's precisely what's being stressed upon with the statue coming up at the India Gate? It's such an iconic spot for the world to see. This is a step towards establishing what the Netaji followed and preached.
I hope so. That when people see that statue, that image now, but later I hope it will be a very fine sculpture. When they see that image, I hope they will all remember what Netaji stood for and follow his ideals. We have to build a new India based on what were Netaji's ideas and dreams.
Right. Mr. Bose, here Prime Minister Modi today on the birth anniversary of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose has said that this hologram is going to be erected. And in fact, they've also decided to begin Republic Day celebrations a day in advance on the day of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose's birth anniversary. That kind of respect being given to Netaji, how would you receive it?
I think that's quite the right way to respect Netaji. The ordinary people of our country have always revered him for his life of suffering and service and sacrifice. And it is appropriate that governments at the center and all of the states should also show him the respect that he deserves. Today, we also had an international dimension to the program which we had at Netaji Bhavan, his ancestral house, at the Netaji Research Bureau. The former Prime Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe, sent a very warm message of congratulations. Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose is not only a figure who is respected all over India and South Asia, but he fought for the liberation of the whole of Asia from Western imperial rule. And so I think it's important that the international dimension, the global odyssey of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose should also be remembered on his 125th birth anniversary.
Well, we see that the Prime Minister is also all set to unveil 7 Bose Puraskars, awards to be given on the name of Netaji. How would you take that?
Good, and I hope that this will inspire our younger generation to learn more about Netaji's life and work, and will inspire them to serve our country selflessly and with great dedication.
Well, Mr. Bose, today on the 125th anniversary of your grandfather, India's greatest freedom fighter, Netaji Subhas Chandra Bose, give us some of those trivias that maybe a common man would like to hear on this day. What really made Netaji the man that he was?
Well, Netaji was absolutely dedicated to the cause of India's freedom. I have heard many anecdotes from his close associates, of course from my father about the escape, but from S.A. Iyer, how Netaji wrote the proclamation of the Azad Hind government on the night of the 19th, 20th October, and he was given coffee and he sat and wrote it at one go, did not cross out a single word, and quietly handed it over to his aides. And that was the ringing proclamation that he read on the 21st of October in 1943 in Singapore in the Cathay Theatre. And that really gave a sense of dignity to nearly 3 million Indians who lived all across Southeast Asia. And they all supported the INA as it marched across the Indo-Burma frontier towards Delhi.
When I say what really made him the man he was, give us a backstory to what defined Netaji to become a freedom struggle. What really pushed him to take up the cause for minorities, for equality? Give us a backstory to this, Mr. Bose.
Well, as you know, he passed high into the Indian civil service.
Yeah.
But in 1921, he said that he could not serve 2 masters. He resigned. And he plunged into the independence movement under the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi. But in Bengal, there was also another very famous leader, Deshabandhu Chittaranjan Das, who was absolutely committed to Hindu-Muslim equality and unity. So even in the 1920s, Netaji tried to make sure that the minorities, but in Bengal at that time, the Muslims were in fact in a slight majority, but they had fallen behind in terms of the economy, education, and so on. So he wanted equality, and therefore he made sure that everyone had an equality of opportunity. He also talked about what he described as cultural intimacy. He gave a very famous speech in Pune to the Maharashtra Provincial Conference in 1928, where he advocated cultural intimacy among India's different communities, not just tolerance, something much deeper, something much better, which is to be able to love one another. That's the basis on he established his leadership. He never asked his followers to do anything or take any risk that he himself would not take. And that's why his followers were prepared to do everything for him. I still remember talking to Mehboob Ahmed, who was his military secretary in 1945, later on became our ambassador to many countries, including Canada. And he said that I had the good fortune to work with Mahatma Gandhi, with Jawaharlal Nehru. They were all very great men.
Yeah.
But there was only one man that I was prepared to die for, and that was Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. So that is the kind of dedication that he inspired in his people. And I know that from my father, Shishir Kumar Bose. He was just a 20-year-old medical student when he helped Netaji escape. But he had been asked by Netaji, "Amar ekta kaj korte parbe? Can you do some work for me?" And he never stopped doing Netaji's work until the last day of his life in the year 2000. So that was the kind of man he was.
So lovely to hear that from you, Mr. Bose. Thank you very much. On the day of the 125th birth anniversary of Netaji, we had you and heard some of those anecdotes that you shared. Really appreciate you joining us. Let me quickly cut across to our reporters who've been tracking extensively the massive hologram that's going to come up in just a little while. Prime Minister Narendra Modi unveiling it in moments from now. Sandeep Punithan joining us live from Delhi. Sandeep, the decision to erect Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose's statue right by the India Gate, which is synonymous to the national capital, literally the India Gate, watched by the world, known as a significant spot for Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose's statue to be erected right at that in that area below the canopy. What does it really speak of, with Prime Minister Modi himself pushing for it?
Well, Nabila, the spot that was vacated by the statue of King George V in 1968, represents one of the longest decisions that a government of India has had to take. More than 50 years, governments have debated on whose statue should come up under that umbrella. And way back in 1969, there was a move by the government to install a statue of Mahatma Gandhi. There was also a proposal to install a statue of Pandit Nehru, and the statue of Netaji Subhash Bose was seen as a dark horse contender at that time. And it's been more than 50 years now, and finally a government has taken the decision to install the statue of Netaji there. And this is not the only decision that's been deferred for several decades.
Yeah.
Not very far from this spot is the National War Memorial. This is another project that's been languishing for decades. At least from the 1950s, there's been talk of a National War Memorial, and that was finally constructed in 2019. So in a sense, this marks a closure to two very important decisions that have been hanging fire for several decades now. The National War Memorial and whose statue to install under the umbrella at India Gate. So installing Netaji Subhash's statue there is a very, very important writing, if you can call it, of a freedom fighter who's not been quite given his due by history.
It's very interesting to see that this move has come right when we saw politics speaking over Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose's tableau not being included, and then the centre hitting out, saying it's very much there. They released the new image of it as well. So politics over Netaji's name has been peaking since forever. And finally, the statue itself makes it to the India Gate, speaks volumes of where we want to see the country go forward.
Yeah, absolutely, Nabila. And it's not surprising that there would be a political tussle over Netaji's legacy, because he was such a giant, a freedom fighter who kind of, his Indian National Army might not have won any military victories, but the fact that they were raised, they were created, and they went on trial at the Red Fort trials, that kind of inspired other people in the Indian Armed Forces to rise up in revolt. You had the Royal Indian Navy mutiny The mutineers said they were inspired by Netaji's INA to take up arms against the British. And that is possibly one of the factors that hastened the exit of the British from India in 1947. These are huge achievements of Netaji Subhash Bose and the Indian National Army. And that is finally being recognized in the 125th year of his birth. It speaks volume for the fact that this history that, not suppressed, but a history that we weren't adequately told about is now finally being restored to its rightful place in the heart of New Delhi.
So excited to see that come to life. Thank you very much, Sandeep. Do stay with us. We're going to continue tracking those developments. Prime Minister Modi himself to unveil that hologram statue. That itself is one of a kind. Really looking forward to seeing that in moments from now. But certainly a big step towards celebrating Netaji's legacy here. A grand statue of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose will be installed at the India Gate. The government has already announced that this year Republic Day celebrations will kick off a day earlier, 23rd of January itself, to celebrate Bose's birth anniversary. Here's really everything that you need to know about this hologram statue.
One of India's most iconic freedom fighters and patriots. A man who waged a military war on the British Raj is finally getting a fitting tribute on the hallowed ground of national heroes. Declared by Prime Minister Modi on Friday morning, a 28-foot granite statue will be installed to mark the 125th birth anniversary of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. And until the statue is completed, a holographic statue of the nationalist icon will adorn the canopy structure from January the 23rd. The India Gate canopy's original occupant was this statue of King George V. The canopy's original top, a gilded Tudor crown, was removed in 1958, with the statue itself removed only a decade later in 1968. The move is being seen as India reclaiming its history now, while giving Netaji Bose his due at this iconic site from the British era. As the statue is being fabricated, we have a view of what it will look like from different locations. Here's what it'll look like from Raisina Hill, just across from Delhi's Rajpath and Vijay Chowk. And here's what it will look like from the location of the Amar Jawan Jyoti.
ये बहुत खुशी की बात है। एनडीए सरकार नरेंद्र मोदी जी का नेतृत्व में आज ये डिसीजन लिया है कि उधर नेताजी का स्टैचू बनेगा। तो नेताजी का भारत आपको लाना है और नेताजी को सही सम्मान देना है। तो आप सांप्रदायिक राजनीति, विभाजन का राजनीति के खिलाफ लड़ाई कीजिए और नेताजी को आदर्श लाइए।
I welcome the announcement by our Prime Minister to install a statue of Netaji at India Gate. And so I hope that this statue will inspire all Indians to assure equality.
The statue tribute to Netaji comes in the wake of an ongoing war over his legacy, manifested most recently in a furious letter from the West Bengal government to the Modi government over the State Republic Day parade tableau featuring Subhas Chandra Bose being rejected. Legacy wars and ownership battles will continue, but an iconic hero of the Indian freedom movement will soon have a sweeping view of the capital city, of the country he fought to free. Bureau Report, India Today.
All right, we're going to continue tracking those developments. Do stay with us. I'm going to slip into a short break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.